The following is a presentation of the Pro Wrestling Report. Informative, entertaining, and real since 1998.
Another amazing edition of Ring of Honor Wrestling right here on My 24 Milwaukee, and I think highlighted by two things, David Hero. More discussion about Kevin Steen. We'll fill in the blanks on that in a minute. And Roderick Strong dominating again.
Yeah, but that wasn't an easy match for him. I mean, O'Reilly is a tough competitor. And so that butterfly suplex he does.
Absolutely, and he is part of.
No one has stolen that yet.
O'Reilly is part of Team Richards, and O'Reilly did deliver some amazing action against Roderick Strong tonight. And this was perfect because it continued that overwhelming story, or overlying story, between the Ring of Honor champion Davey Richards and Roderick Strong, who is a former Ring of Honor champion as well.
With these guys, the way they wrestle, how long is their shelf life? I mean, they beat each other up.
They did. And that is a legitimate question, and many of them have been around for a very long time. Eventually, we would see Davey Richards and Eddie Edwards get involved in that whole matchup pull-apart at the end, and Jim Cornette then levying fines against the House of Truth.
I mean, last time
You love Truth Martini.
You know what? His hair, I'm jealous.
Really?
Absolutely. You should be jealous, too.
The Briscoes, again, part of the broadcast tonight. It was a rematch against Kenny King and Rhett Titus. The Briscoes are going on to the next Ring of Honor pay-per-view on December 23rd, and they get a chance at the world's greatest tag team, wrestling's greatest tag team, Charlie Haas and Shelton Benjamin for the tag team championships.
They are really building the Briscoes to be monsters. And you know what? The way that it's going is, I think that match alone is going to sell a pay-per-view.
One quote that was made on commentary by Kevin Kelly and Nigel McGuinness that stuck with me, and that is, in order to beat one of the Briscoes, you have to kill the other one.
It could very well be true. I mean, they are a tough top tag team, and like I said, it's going to be interesting. Two different styles, but they're both high-impact teams, and it's going to be a knock-'em-down, drag-it-out, street fight.
This whole situation with Kevin Steen was addressed, and it's been sort of building on Ring of Honor television. Exactly. And for those of you that don't know, who are new to Ring of Honor, Kevin Steen was let go from Ring of Honor Wrestling after losing a retirement match to El Generico in late 2010. In June of this year, I believe it was, he started trying to get back into Ring of Honor and get back into the stories going on in Ring of Honor, and Ring of Honor has been adamant in saying, no, Steen is gone. This has been fantastic what they've done with Kevin Steen. He's got, again, we talk about this a lot with Ring of Honor, he's got that believability, he's got that intensity. I can't wait to see what happens with him when he comes back. Steve Corino on commentary talking about it as well, taking the blame, if you will, for some of the actions of Kevin Steen, and Jim Cornette saying that they will not do any more business with Steen.
Of course. Why would they acknowledge it? If it's truly going to be a shoot-style deal, don't put it over.
I think Ring of Honor has treated this perfectly. Another strong showing tonight right here on My 24 Milwaukee. But there's more going on in professional wrestling, and we'll talk about that right here on the Pro Wrestling Report, prime time, right now.
This is the Pro Wrestling Report, PrimeTime TV, the longest-running pro wrestling news program in the world, with your hosts, David Hero and Damian Nelson.
This week's top story, WWE Vengeance is in the history books just this past Sunday night on pay-per-view from San Antonio, Texas, and Alberto Del Rio retains the WWE Championship in a fantastic last man standing match with John Cena. This match went all over the arena after starting in a collapsed ring. More on that later. John Cena, a strong showing, but a stronger showing by the man who's still the WWE Champion, Alberto Del Rio.
ADR, but you already knew that, once again retains the WWE Championship. John Cena took a beating.
He took a lashing.
I cannot believe he actually came back and, didn't win the title.
It seemed for a long time in that matchup, a lot of times in that matchup, that John Cena was going to remain or come out victorious against Alberto Del Rio and once again be WWE champion.
Now, of course, John Cena didn't make ADR look extremely strong because what he did was he took a beating, but got up just as the 10 count was finished. He should have laid down and sold it, but of course he can't do that.
Really?
What? It's ADR. He is the future of the WWE.
In your mind only.
That's all that matters.
John Cena not able to win the championship and now seemingly out of the championship picture. When we talk about Raw later on, we'll talk about who's next for Alberto Del Rio in the WWE Championship. But David Hero, leading into that matchup, it was the World Heavyweight Championship being defended. It was Mark Henry, the current champion, versus a returning Big Show who returned to pay-per-view for the first time since Money in the Bank. And this match, a spectacular finish with a superplex off the top rope by Mark Henry onto the Big Show, and that superplex resulted in the collapse of the ring. The ring imploded.
Talk about a match where both guys threw everything at each other. They both got over their big power moves, their power slams, their choke slams, their, everything they could possibly do, and they couldn't beat each other.
Could not.
And it finally took a superplex to knock both guys out, which kept both guys extremely strong, which now can go forward to the next pay-per-view.
Seemingly Mark Henry stronger as he walked out, saying, "I'm the champion," refusing medical care, refusing assistance to get to the back, proving why he is the WWE World Heavyweight Champion.
And I'm surprised they didn't have Big Show leave the ring like that and let the heel, Mark Henry, be the one that is carted out.
It is pretty much a fact now, given their last two matchups. Anytime Big Show gets in the ring with Mark Henry, he's riding a golf cart out.
It seems like it. And you know what? They're doing a great job of establishing Mark Henry as the legitimate tough guy on SmackDown.
Dolph Ziggler shines again. Dolph Ziggler retains his United States Championship in a matchup with Zack Ryder. Woo, woo, woo.
I knew it.
And did so after an unsuccessful attempt at winning the tag team championships from Air Boom with his partner Jack Swagger. David Hero, I talked on 540 ESPN this past Monday night on our radio show about a comparison that I noted during this matchup with Dolph Ziggler, and that is a comparison to the legendary Ric Flair. He's got the style, he's got the arrogance, he's got the in-ring ability. He looks a lot like, as far as overall presence, a young Ric Flair to me.
What's in that coffee cup? Are you kidding me? You can't compare Dolphy Z to Ric Flair. They wrestle two different styles. They may have similar charisma.
They definitely do wrestle
attitude,
two different styles.
But Dolph Ziggler goes a million miles an hour. Ric Flair was a wrestler.
But what made Ric Flair Ric Flair? It wasn't his wrestling ability. Granted, he has an amazing amount of wrestling ability. It was his persona. Dolph Ziggler has a very similar persona, I think.
I'll give you that. I think Dolph Ziggler is going to be one of the next greats in this business. But Ric Flair?
Well, we're going to talk a lot more about Zack Ryder, actually, Dolph Ziggler's opponent at Vengeance this past Sunday night. In 5 more minutes, our online extended version of the Pro Wrestling Report, Prime Time. That's this week's top story. WWE Vengeance is in the record books. Still to come on the Pro Wrestling Report, Star of the Week. I wonder who that's going to be. The history book. Also, we give you more details on this Monday's costume party from the Pro Wrestling Report and the WWE and TNA reports. All still to come here on the Pro Wrestling Report, Prime Time.
Hey, this is Bobby Roode from Impact Wrestling, and you're watching the Pro Wrestling Report on My24 Milwaukee.
It's time to go to this week's headlines, brought to you by PWRshow.com. You can always visit PWRshow.com, the website of the Pro Wrestling Report, for all the latest verified wrestling news and a couple of the verified stories you can see right now at PWRshow.com. We're going to talk about right here, right now, and the first of which is TNA Impact Wrestling from last week draws record ratings on Spike TV.
Who would have thought James Storm could take TNA to the promised land?
And TNA citing James Storm as one of the main reasons for that. Let's read to you what Spike TV and TNA Wrestling released in a press release earlier this week. TNA Impact Wrestling on Thursday, October 20th, drew over 2.2 million viewers, making it the highest watched show in its Thursday night time slot ever, and the second most watched episode in the 6 years it has aired on Spike TV. The highest being a special Monday night telecast in January 2010, featuring the TNA debut of Hulk Hogan. David Hero, this episode of Impact we talked about on last week's Primetime on the online version started off with some 40 minutes of talking. And only over the course of the program, 7 minutes of wrestling, but those 7 minutes of wrestling were very important because we saw the debut of Gail Kim, and as you mentioned earlier, James Storm wins the TNA World Heavyweight Championship. What message does it send to TNA from us, the wrestling fans, and you, the wrestling fans, that this was one of their highest rated shows ever?
Well, I guess it shows much like when Mick Foley became the world champion on Raw, when all the TV channels moved over.
Thanks to Tony Schiavone?
Yeah, thank you, Tony Schiavone. It's kind of similar. I mean, there was a lot of buzz about James Storm winning the TNA World Impact Wrestling Championship, and people wanted to see it if it was really true or not, and it was. And, you know, congratulations to James Storm and to TNA because they pulled off a huge number. Like you said, their largest in 6 years.
But what does it mean? Are we going to see more 40-minute long talking segments? Because that's what delivered ratings this past month. And what's also interesting about those ratings is over the course of the quarter hours of that first hour, they maintained a solid rating. They didn't really lose many viewers.
What they did is people wanted to see what was going to happen. They have to now reset after Bound for Glory. They have to go forward and start off with some new storylines. Bound for Glory is like their WrestleMania. It's the new season. So now let's get things rolling, establish who's going to be doing what, and go forward.
And they did a phenomenal job, I think, in explaining the happenings at Bound for Glory. Congratulations to TNA Impact Wrestling for that rating success last Thursday night. Next headline, David Heroes, a former WWE champion, says Eve Torres should stick to modeling. You remember her as Alundra Blaze or Medusa. Medusa, who, of course, appeared on Nitro when she was WWE Women's Champion and dropped that championship title belt in the garbage on Nitro. Well, she said, and I quote, during Vengeance this past Sunday night, that, and again, as I quote, "While I wish I would have met Beth during my days," referring to Beth Phoenix, "she really needs some great talent to be able for her to shine. As in my days, this was my problem as well. Again, great talent, Beth, and no one to wrestle. She's believable." She goes on to say, "Eve needs to keep modeling. Awesome looking girl in the ring should not be there. Just saying."
They had awesome talent. They had Gail Kim. They had Mickie James. They had Melina. They had Serena Deeb. Obviously, that's not the direction Vinnie Mac and company want to go. As far as Medusa Michelli's concerned, it sounds like sour grapes. I mean,
she had some unfavorable things to say about Kevin Nash as well.
Well, you know what? I mean, here's the thing, Hashmark. Eve makes far more money than Medusa ever did. Maybe she's a little hot about that, but there's no way that they're going to bring in Medusa to work with Beth Phoenix.
Well, you can read more about these headlines on our website, pwrshow.com. That and a lot more, including some interesting details about WrestleMania in Miami coming up on April 1st. That's this week's headlines brought to you by pwrshow.com.
This week's PWR Star of the Week is none other than everyone's favorite WWE World Champion, Alberto Del Rio. But you already knew that. Not only did ADR come up and beat John Cena fair and square at the Last Man Standing match, but let's go back even earlier in the month when he beat CM Punk and John Cena to win the WWE Championship. Right now, there's nobody hotter on the Raw brand than your WWE World Champion, Alberto Del Rio.
Still to come here on the Pro Wrestling Report, it's the history book. We look back at WCW's Halloween Havoc and WWE and TNA news. The Pro Wrestling Report Primetime continues right after this.
Join the Pro Wrestling Report live Monday night at Karma Bar and Grill, located at 600 East Ogden in downtown Milwaukee, for the Pro Wrestling Report Halloween Costume Party. Come for the party and watch WWE Raw and a live remote broadcast of PWR Radio on 540 ESPN Milwaukee. Get all the details right now on the PWR Facebook page, and we'll see you Monday night for the Pro Wrestling Report Costume Party and live broadcast from Karma Bar and Grill. Join the Pro Wrestling Report live Monday night at Karma Bar and Grill, located at 600 East Ogden in downtown Milwaukee, for the Pro Wrestling Report Halloween Costume Party. Come for the party and watch WWE Raw and a live remote broadcast of PWR Radio on 540 ESPN Milwaukee. Get all the details right now on the PWR Facebook page, and we'll see you Monday night for the Pro Wrestling Report Costume Party and live broadcast from Karma Bar and Grill.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Mr. Anderson, and you are watching Damian Nelson and my super friend David Hero on Milwaukee's My 24. Yeah.
David Hero, it's time to talk about WWE, and let's start by talking about this past Monday's WWE Raw, which was live from Texas. And the big story is Kevin Nash's brutal attack on Triple H. At the beginning of the program, Kevin Nash attacking Triple H with his own signature sledgehammer, and doing so not just once, but twice, including snatching Triple H out of the back of an ambulance, standing him upright while latched to a gurney, and striking him right in the head with that sledgehammer. WWE has since announced that Triple H is going to be out for at least 6 weeks as a result of this, which leads the question of what's next in this storyline.
It's got to be TLC or the Royal Rumble. TLC, table, ladders, and chairs, pay-per-view, different gimmick matches, maybe a sledgehammer ladder match. Who knows?
A sledgehammer ladder match.
Yeah,
I like that.
Have this. Well, I can't imagine either guy climbing a ladder to get it.
Is that better or worse than a pinata on a pole match?
It's better than a Mrs. Bagwell on a pole match.
That it definitely is. This matchup can be strong because both men are strong. The attack this past Monday night was simply brutal, but it was fun to watch.
And you know what? It told a great story. I mean, NWO for life. Obviously, Click is not for life.
Also, Michael Cole challenges good old JR Jim Ross to the Michael Cole Challenge next Monday night on Raw in Atlanta, Georgia. David Hero, it seems as if we may get the end to this brutal commentary team that has been lacking Jim Ross, featuring Michael Cole this Monday night on Raw.
Headlining Raw.
Again.
Who cares about Cole and JR?
Will this end, if the end is indeed Michael Cole losing, and then, as he said this past Monday on Raw, quitting his position as a broadcaster with WWE, will this end justify the means being what we've had to endure as fans,
you know what?
Up until this week?
If Michael Cole does lose and he does leave, the fans will go crazy. They will love it. But next week, it'll be forgotten.
John Cena has selected The Rock to be his partner in a tag team match at the Survivor Series against The Miz and R-Truth.
Did you see how excited he was?
The Rock returns to the ring for the first time in 7 years, and he does so November 20th at the Survivor Series. Is this a mismatch, David Hero?
It's a ridiculous mismatch. I mean, it's so one-sided that you'd almost now have to believe that Miz and R-Truth are going to win.
Well, The Miz is endorsed by me.
I mean, why? They could have done so much more. They could have had a traditional Survivor Series match.
That whole thing got messy, though, it seems, with the whole Triple H Kevin Nash situation, because at a time it seemed as if they would be involved in that particular matchup.
I would have liked to have seen that. I think it would have made more sense, but now you got Superman and Incredible Hulk against Riddler and Black Manta.
Who?
He's Aquaman's adversary.
It looks likely that we're going to see CM Punk versus Alberto Del Rio for the WWE Championship, and you got to imagine that Madison Square Garden is going to be firmly behind the voice of the voiceless.
Are you kidding me? They're going to be ADR.
It's New York City. They are very vocal, very, very outspoken. CM Punk is the New Yorkers guy.
Are you kidding me? Have
I'm
you
not
been to
kidding
New
you.
York? Have you
I'm
seen
dead
all
serious.
those pompous New Yorkers out there driving their
Really?
big expensive cars and
Some.
their suits and their
You're
scarves and
generalizing.
everything else? No, what I see is what I see. They're going to love ADR.
It's going to be Punk's night at Madison Square Garden. Can ADR overcome that challenge?
It's not a challenge. ADR is going to go into Madison Square Garden and leave Madison Square Garden as the champion.
Several matchups taking shape for the Survivor Series, and you can join the Pro Wrestling Report team at the Horny Goat Hideaway for our big PWR Survivor Series bash on Sunday, November 20th, where you can watch the Survivor Series for free in the best environment in the Midwest on the largest television in the Midwest at no charge, with our special guest who will be there with you, signing autographs and meeting each and every one of you, former WWE diva and Playboy cover model, Maria Kanellis.
Maria's coming?
Maria Kanellis will be there at the Horny Goat Hideaway November 20th, along with the WWE Survivor Series. The Rock returns to the ring. Linda Kay is going to be there, large and in charge. You don't have any other option to watch the Survivor Series and to join us at the Horny Goat Hideaway on November 20th. All the details right now on our Facebook page.
John Cena here.
Facebook.com/Pro Wrestling Report. Maria Kanellis, the Survivor Series, Horny Goat Hideaway, November 20th. That's this week's WWE Report. Well, David, it's time to go back into the annals of time, the history book, if you will. And with it being Halloween weekend, why not take a look at WCW's Halloween Havoc, one of the most popular pay-per-views of the 90s from WCW, and several notable things happening, including its 1989 debut, where we saw Ric Flair and Sting take on the Great Muta and Terry Funk.
Talk about four guys that at that time in their careers hated each other.
Absolutely.
Terry Funk and Ric Flair, Sting and Muta. Fantastic match, and what an ending.
Bruno Sammartino was the special guest referee, and the match ended when Gary Hart threw in the towel, giving Sting's team the victory.
Who would have thought that even back then politics would come into play where the heels wouldn't put over the baby faces?
And then let's move to 1994, David Hero. It was Hulk Hogan versus Ric Flair.
Career match.
Hulk Hogan had Jimmy Hart with him. Ric Flair had Sensuous Sherry and another special enforcer. This time it was Mr. T.
And that was a time when Hulk Hogan had just come into the company, bringing back all of his old buddies.
It was also when we saw the debut of Brother Brudai, who was the masked man who had been stalking Hogan for months.
Talk about going backwards.
Back to the future?
Or around again.
1996, Hulk Hogan defeats Randy Savage, wins the WCW Championship, and Roddy Piper makes his debut for WCW.
I can honestly say when that happened, when I saw Roddy Piper on WCW television, I had a pit in my stomach. I'm like, wow, they even got Roddy Piper.
And that was after Roddy Piper was a major part of WrestleMania 12 in that street fight with Goldust.
It was amazing. Obviously, Ted Turner had super deep pockets.
1998, an infamous Halloween Havoc, because in the main event, which didn't end on pay-per-view,
well, nobody saw the finish.
Goldberg defeated Diamond Dallas Page, and this pay-per-view went long, and everyone who ordered it, for the most part, didn't get to see the end. Controversy erupted, and the match was shown for free the following night on Nitro.
Way of getting ratings, and that back then, that's what they had to do.
You're saying deliberately?
Absolutely.
No, there's no way.
They know when the time's up.
They know you don't take that chance on a pay-per-view.
WCW did.
I don't think it was deliberate, but it is certainly living in the history book. WCW Halloween Havoc, an event I wouldn't mind seeing being brought back, especially if we have to endure 2 October pay-per-views each year from WWE. That's this week's history book, taking a look back at WCW's Halloween Havoc. It's time to talk a little bit of TNA Wrestling and Impact Wrestling this past Thursday night. David Hero was definitely continuing with the momentum from Bound for Glory as we saw James Storm, brand new music, brand new video, brand new look. And it looks like next week he's got his former tag team partner, Bobby Roode, in a one-on-one championship match.
It's going to be very interesting. I mean, talk about having great luck, not damn luck. He's rolling right now. James Storm on top of the world, new music, new t-shirts, new everything. Unfortunately, he has to go against his buddy next week.
Eric Young gets a matchup against Robbie E. with Rob Terry defeating him in a non-title matchup. And Eric Young tells us that next week we're going to see Ronnie from the Jersey Shore. That should be interesting.
Amazing. You know,
hopefully that's as successful as JWoww in TNA.
You know, Eric Young considered training Cal for that match, but decided to get...
Did he? I thought he did train Cal.
Well, they had a little tryout, and I guess, we couldn't come to terms on a contract.
Gail Kim talks about her time in WWE and her decision to leave. And we see that it's going to be Gail Kim versus Velvet Sky for the Knockouts Championship, November 13th at Turning Point. I'll be live in Orlando. I'll be live in Orlando for Turning Point. Yes, indeed, should be very fun. How much further can this Jeff Jarrett and Jeff Hardy thing go? And was it necessarily smart to show us again what happened back in March at Victory Road?
Why? Why do they keep bringing it up? You know, they lived through it. They survived it. They went forward, but they keep going backwards. Are they trying to turn the fans against Jeff Hardy? I mean, why keep bringing it up?
We talked to Jeff Hardy in a recent interview on this program exclusively and asked him about bringing it up. So head on over to our website, pwrshow.com. Take a look at what Jeff Hardy had to say about that situation. Impact strong this week. Can it repeat its record ratings from last week, David Hero, or will this be a substantial decline? Predict it.
It's going to be pretty similar. It won't be as strong, but a small decrease.
What should be very fun to watch, though, is next week's Impact when Bobby Roode takes on James Storm. Is this match too soon? Could they have saved this for several months down the road and made it a main event on a pay-per-view?
I think they should separate the two for a little while, let Bobby Roode reestablish himself. He did not have a great match with Samoa Joe on Impact. It wasn't as good as it could have been. So let him get reestablished, let him work harder towards it, and eventually have a big payoff match in December.
That's this week's Pro Wrestling Report, primetime television right here on My 24 Milwaukee. Want to invite you to join us on our website, pwrshow.com, for the extended version, 5 more minutes of the Pro Wrestling Report Primetime with more detailed discussion, including David Hero explaining why it's perceived that he hates Zack Ryder. 5 minutes more continues online. Thank you for joining us here on the Pro Wrestling Report Primetime on My 24 Milwaukee.
Come for the party and watch WWE Raw and a live remote broadcast of PWR Radio on 540 ESPN Milwaukee. Get all the details right now on the PWR Facebook page, and we'll see you Monday night for the Pro Wrestling Report costume party and live broadcast from Karma Bar and Grill.
Well, it's 5 minutes more, 5 more minutes online, David Hero, and we'll continue some of the discussion that we had on Primetime this week. But one thing I think you owe it to all them out there is to, you keep claiming that you don't hate Zack Ryder, yet your words are speaking a lot differently than that claim you make. So I think you owe it to everyone out there to explain why you keep saying Zack Ryder is not ready. Zack Ryder is not ready. Woo, 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 you knew it.
I knew it.
And you know what we're going to do? It's time to whip out the... I had the interns prepare something.
Okay.
And time to whip out the Hero Strader here. And, you know, I think it's just you and your friend Zack Ryder, one-on-one, right here virtually on screen. So why don't you show the world, show the world.
Show the world. Look at this guy.
Show the world how you're going to...
Let me get, hold on, we got some stuff to do here first.
Explain yourself for all your comments about Zack Ryder recently.
You know, I do not dislike Zack Ryder. I think he's a very talented guy, but what everyone seems to be forgetting is that there's been other talented guys in the WWE that have been just as popular, that have been just as fan-friendly, that have connected with the fans in the past. Let's start off with...
This ought to be good.
There's been MVP.
Oh, Montel Vontavious Porter. I remember him.
The fans loved him.
From the 305, right?
Right. You know, then there's also been John Morrison.
J-Mo.
You got Kofi Kingston.
Boom, boom.
You got Evan Bourne was another guy. Let's see, who else?
Evan Bourne, who, by the way, is as fluid as a video game. I don't know if that's a compliment
fantastic.
or not. But
no, absolutely. There's been a lot of... Your buddy, A-Rai.
Alex Riley?
Yeah, you know him?
Mm-hmm. That's with an I.
It's easier this way. The thing is, even though everyone loves the woo, 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 you know it, they've done nothing on TV to make this guy a superhero.
Not even on SmackDown?
Life. Not really. It's SmackDown.
He's the assistant to the general manager.
So he fetches coffee. That's how they have him set up. He's
I got your coffee, Mr. McMahon.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So they had the perfect opportunity at the pay-per-view on Sunday.
Vengeance.
On Vengeance.
He had a United States Championship opportunity.
Dolph Ziggler was beaten down and exhausted.
The Zigfro was out.
It was a tough tag match. Now almost every match on TV with Zack Ryder, he's beating the guy in under 2 minutes. Right? The Rough Rider, 1, 2, 3, quick pinfall. Why couldn't they have kept the same thing going with Dolph Ziggler? Why couldn't he have just caught him out of the blue? Dolph Ziggler was exhausted, would have got a ton of heat that way, and then Dolph Ziggler could say he wasn't ready, he was tired, blah, blah, blah. But no, what happens? He beats him. It wasn't clean, but it was a clean 1, 2, 3. So right there, woo, 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 you know it. I knew it wasn't going to win. Had a chance for stardom. Now, you bring him out Monday Night for Raw. He's going to be John Cena's tag team partner. Everyone's popping. Everyone's happy, excited. Woo, woo, woo. You know it's going to be on Monday Night Raw. He gets beat down by Miz and Ron Killings. Okay?
R-Truth.
R-Truth. So I'm thinking, wow, they're finally going to do something right with this kid. It'll be the Spirit of 76 comeback. You know, they'll wrap the scarf around his head and have him hobble down to the ring. Save John Cena. We're waiting.
You're waiting.
I'm waiting even longer. I'm like, oh my God, he's not going to come out.
Well, he took a beatdown from The Miz.
They've all taken beatdowns from them. It's The Miz. People get up from him. It's not like it was Mark Henry or Big Show. Don't blame me. I am just putting the magnifying glass on it that the WWE and creative has no faith at this time in Zack Ryder. He's being punished for something. They're teasing everybody, they're teasing Zack Ryder, and then most of all, they're teasing the fans. And it's not happening yet. It may happen 6 months down the road. Look at Dolph Ziggler. Mm-hmm. They put him in a great spot, earlier in the year with Edge.
6 months down the road takes us to WrestleMania in Miami, 28.
It might be. Sure. Put it this way, the way they're booking Zack Ryder right now, I wouldn't be surprised if he is the first guy in and the first guy out of the Royal Rumble.
First in, first out?
Could very well be.
FIFO?
FIFO.
Really?
Yeah.
Maybe Zack Ryder wins the Royal Rumble.
Please don't think I hate Zack Ryder. I want the guy to do well. I think he's talented. You know what? He's doing a great job with what he's been given, but they have yet to truly give him the ball and let him run with it.
Is that your word?
That's a DHHS.
Are you sticking to it?
Absolutely.
All right.
If they wanted to elevate Zack Ryder, they put him in the Survivor Series match with The Rock and John Cena. Let him get his revenge on Miz and Ron Killings.
We got a couple of Raws up until then. Maybe something will happen.
Okay. Do you think that John Cena and The Rock want to share a third of the poster with Zack Ryder?
Well, the poster is John Cena and The Rock.
It would make the most sense, but they're not going to do that. And whose fault is that? It's not mine that I hate them. It's because Vince McMahon and Stephanie and creative, they don't see it. The only reason why he's on TV is because the fans have asked for it. And they're putting him on TV but not giving him anything.
It's like a little fishing game.
Absolutely.
And who's biting the bait?
Every one of you. I didn't.
TNA World Champion is James Storm. Some people have been reporting that there is a little question as to whether or not he's too, and I quote, Southern to be the TNA Impact Wrestling World Heavyweight Champion. Well, James Storm has responded to that speculation, and he did so via Twitter. He said this earlier this week.
And you quote?
I think it's awesome that I'm too Southern. It makes me, me. So the people who don't like it, sorry about your damn luck. And a little FYI, it's not too Southern, it's too redneck. And there are beer-drinking rednecks all over the world, not just the South. Now, David Hero, you've been favorable about this character that is James Storm. What do you say of the speculation about whether or not he's championship material and his response to that speculation?
Well, listen.
Let me go ahead and take this away here because you don't need it anymore.
Well, everyone
Finish with your burial
everyone
of Zack
has an
Ryder.
opinion about everything. And you know what? James Storm is a tremendous wrestler, tremendous character. I'll be honest, I could care less if he's too Southern, Northern, Eastern, or Western. It doesn't make a difference as long as he sells tickets and sells merchandise. At the end of the day, that's all that really matters. But I think the bigger picture is James Storm is going to be the guy that is going to save Bobby Roode. I think James Storm is going to be the reason that Bobby Roode becomes a bigger star.
How so?
Well, because if you think about Bobby Roode, what is so great about him?
He's an amazing in-ring performer. He's got an intensity that's unrivaled by many other stars in the business.
Okay.
He's endorsed by many, 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 many of the top talents in the wrestling business.
But
The fans seem to have a connection with Bobby Roode because of what TNA gave us leading up to Bound for Glory. And I think that he has the longevity in that company to make that championship a legitimate wrestling championship.
With all that being said, what's his personality like?
What was Chris Benoit's personality like? Because I can compare the two, I think, because they're
And what kind of run
quiet
did Chris Benoit have?
What kind of what?
What kind of run did he have?
Decent.
Was it successful?
I would consider it a success initially, yes.
But Bobby Roode and Chris Benoit, even though they may have similar personalities, it's two different kinds of wrestlers. They both wrestle a similar style, but I'm just saying is that Chris Benoit was on a far bigger stage on Raw and SmackDown, as opposed to Bobby Roode and Impact. Bobby Roode and Impact is still considered a Southern wrestling company, right? Even though he's Canadian. But I think with James Storm...
There's a South in Canada.
There is.
You ever been to the National Rodeo Finals? I go every year.
No, I have not. But with Bobby Roode and James Storm, now, eventually Bobby Roode's going to turn on James Storm. Right?
Yeah, but as we said on Primetime earlier, this is happening real quick.
That then gives the fans a reason to become emotionally invested into Bobby Roode. How can you turn on your best friend? And then they can get some more heat on him. Now the fans can hate him and cheer James Storm. Right now, yeah, the fans are cheering Bobby Roode, but is it a true babyface pop?
I think so.
So you're saying that Bobby Roode is on par with a Jeff Hardy pop?
I didn't say that.
With a Ken Anderson
I didn't say that.
pop?
You didn't ask that.
That's a true babyface pop.
I think that given the emotional attachment fans made to Bobby Roode going into Bound for Glory, that he is on a higher level than he was, and fans care a lot more about him than they did.
I disagree. They may care about him. I like Bobby Roode. I think he's a fantastic talent. We've talked, we've had some good conversations, but he's not even the top 5 babyface in that company right now. He's not. And he was the guy that they're going to put the belt on and have them run the company.
Can we rename the segment Burials by Hero?
Why is it a burial? I'm just proving I'm saying that James Storm, we're talking about James Storm, is going to save Bobby Roode's career. He's going to get the fans to hate him. I would rather be the number 1 most hated guy than the number 7 most popular.
WWE SmackDown last Friday night, David Hero, just last night actually. We saw, of course, taking a break from action for just a little while was the Intercontinental Champion Cody Rhodes, who did commentary during the matchup between Randy Orton.
He's licking his wounds. He's gotten beaten down all week.
He's still the champion.
When you don't defend it, you can't lose it.
He defends it every 30 days. He meets the requirements of being the champion.
Sure. Okay.
But he did commentary during a matchup with Randy Orton and Dolph Ziggler in a non-title match.
When he's talking about Randy Orton, that was obnoxious. It's like speak like a normal person.
Then he would just be a normal person. You're the one who sits here and talks about larger-than-life personalities.
Yeah, but Cody's not larger than life in anything.
His personality is. His personality absolutely is.
Is larger than life.
He has a way of delivering that distinguishes him from all the other talents in WWE. He's got the in-ring ability, as he proved at Vengeance in that matchup with Randy Orton, which was a good match, which I know you still can't see.
No, I thought it was a great match. I love the finish.
Proved it on Superstars this week when he main evented that.
A show that nobody watches.
Nobody is.
Who did he wrestle
not
on
accurate.
Superstars?
Ted DiBiase. The main event, CM Punk defeats Christian on SmackDown.
I liked that match. That was
Friday
good.
Night.
Those two guys can go. They're similar style, similar build, similar look. Yeah.
Daniel Bryan resurfaces defeating Tyson Kidd via submission. I got to say, I'm a little surprised Tyson Kidd's still around in WWE, only because they don't seem to be using him very smartly. And remember how great...
They need someone for DVD to beat.
Remember how great he was, what was it, the Slammies or whatever, when we finally heard Tyson Kidd speak? We know he's got the in-ring ability. He's an amazing in-ring talent and performer. Maybe it's a situation of convenience, with Natty Neidhart, but where was Daniel Bryan this past Sunday when Mark Henry was near death at Vengeance in the ring after the ring had collapsed? Now, granted, he has said he's not going to cash in Money in the Bank until WrestleMania, but I mean, really, if there was an opportunity, it was this past Sunday night at Vengeance. Where was he?
He's probably at home. They probably didn't fly him in.
D-Double, this Monday night, we're having a costume party.
Yes, we are. Thank God.
It's going to be at Karma Sports Bar and Grill in the PWR Lounge at Karma. It's going to be Monday.
Well, I'm going to put my costume on. I'm Damian Nelson.
You'd have to borrow some of the Mrs. Tanner to successfully. You know, I got to get my costume.
I got you one.
No, you didn't.
Yeah, seriously, I did.
Really? You got me a gift?
It just came. FedEx. Fantastic. But you got to close your eyes.
Well, that would
It's
mean
a
I trust you.
surprise.
I don't trust you.
Come on.
Did you give me?
I did,
Did
seriously.
you guys see this?
Seriously.
Did you guys see this?
No, really, here.
Just this costume you got me?
Absolutely.
I mean, do I have to, can I wear my suit still, or do I have to?
There you go. How about that? See?
What is this?
That's your Cody Rhodes costume. I thought you want to be one of your favorite superstars.
You're cruising for a bruising. I'll proudly wear this. You know what? Because Cody Rhodes is endorsed. Can't even keep it on straight. He
That's
is endorsed. He is a future world champion. And when he is a world champion,
I will retire. I'll be done.
Because you won't admit
because
how
I know
wrong you
wrestling
were.
is fake if Cody Rhodes is ever a world champion. That's like the David Hero challenge. If
Monday
Cody
night,
Rhodes-
Karma Sports Bar and Grill, 600 East Ogden in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Linda Kay is going to be hosting the costume contest. And you can come on down, watch Raw, watch us live. We're going to be broadcasting live on 540. I bet Cody's. Did you get this from Cody?
Absolutely.
No, you didn't, because it's got gimmick all over it. Like, what is this from? Smells like bagels in here.
It was on sale.
7 o'clock p.m. Go to our Facebook page, facebook.com/Pro Wrestling Report to get more information for this bitch. This is Damian Nelson saying thank you for tuning in to the Pro Wrestling Report Prime Time. We'll see you Monday night on 540 ESPN and for the costume party at Karma.